The Broncos have a massive decision to make after a performance that has been indicative of some defensive liability. A lot of Broncos fans are questioning whether the right player is in the lineup, covering a good side of the field and a good portion of really talented players when we have another one waiting in the mix. I'm Sebastian with Broncos Digest. Welcome back, everybody. I know that you haven't seen me since the loss against the Chargers. Obviously, a bit of another hard one to swallow. It's not our favorite thing to talk about after a loss. We want to talk about wins. And the first 3 weeks of this season has been frustrating to say the least for Broncos fans. We've enjoyed the Chiefs going 0-2. They did win against Sunday night, so now we have the same record as the Chiefs and the Raiders. The Chargers are sitting at a pretty 3-0 with a 3-0 record in the division. So that's going to be a hard one to beat. And losing this game against the Chargers, not only did it not allow us to get the first place in the AFC West, we are now 2 full games behind them. So we'll be playing catch up for the rest of the season with them. Herbert is looking like an MVP candidate, but it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough, and it's really important to just kind of settle down, and realize the big picture. These seasons are marathons; they're not sprints, and it's important to keep that in mind. But make sure to subscribe before we get into this topic. 95% of viewers, 67% of viewers are not subscribed. 32 are, but just make sure to subscribe and tune in because a lot of what we're doing here, we're going to keep talking about all the new updates, everything for Broncos related, and hopefully be doing live streams down the road. We hit 100 subscribers. We are now aiming for 1,000, and we're just going to keep pushing, and we appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and we got to keep building it, but we love the community so far already. But let's just jump right into it anyway. Enough dilly-dallying. What are we talking about? Riley Moss is kind of the player at the center of a lot of Broncos fans' attention. Travis Wakeman from Yahoo Sports had to say, Moss has been the target of much criticism from Broncos fans who feel like he should be put on the bench in favor of first-round pick Jahdae Barron. Through 3 games, Barron has been on the field for a total of only 53 snaps, an indication that Sean Payton wants to bring the rookie along slowly, a typical practice for him throughout his career. Still, Barron was drafted early, and the team can inject new life into the secondary if he's ready to go. The Broncos are going to have to live with the fact that Moss is going to be targeted frequently, with teams avoiding throwing against Pat Surtain II if they don't have to. I think this is a really important thing to note, is that with PS2 being the best corner in the league, that's widely accepted. There's going to be, unfortunately, a lot of targets thrown at all the other corners, and just the opposite side of the field. They don't want to test Pat Surtain. He's on an island, and he's maintained that island very well. He won Defensive Player of the Year last year, and it's just become a kind of a unfortunate thing for anyone who's cornerback to Pat Surtain, is that they're going to be targeted no matter what, and Riley has been kind of the victim of that. A lot of Broncos fans believe that, one way or another, that it's actually not indicative of Riley Moss's, performance. He has relatively good coverage. It's just a lot of quarterbacks have made better throws over his coverage. And that's kind of where I lie as well. It's a little frustrating to see people kind of say, oh, we should cut him, we should release him, when I don't think that's the case at all. Pat Surtain has sung his praises when he didn't have to, and now we have Jahdae Barron, which obviously it makes people anxious. It makes people wanting to bring in the replacement. They're like, oh, we drafted this guy in the first round. Clearly, we have, we think he's cornerback 2 potential at the very least. And maybe that's true. Maybe that is. Sean, like they said in the article, he likes to slowly bring in his guys and get them acclimated to the NFL. He doesn't want to just throw them in there and make them lose confidence really quickly, because that's definitely what could happen. If you throw them in too early and they get burned all game, that they're not feeling it. That's just typically a good way to ruin a young man's confidence, a young player's confidence. So that's probably what he's avoiding right now. But when it comes to through 3 weeks, Broncos cornerback 2 Riley Moss is the second most targeted cornerback in the NFL per Next Gen Stats. Teams are 13 of 27, which is a 48.1% completion percentage when targeting him for 170 yards, an 80.80 passer rating attempt. not good numbers by any means, and I don't mean to be saying that Riley is devoid of criticism, or you're not allowed to like say that you don't think he's playing very well. I just think when you watch the tape and you watch him play, a lot of the throws that and catches that these guys have made over in his coverage, there's not a ton of separation. It's just that Riley isn't able to lock down guys like Pat Surtain is, and few corners have in the history of the NFL. So that it's just a high bar to have him go up against. But at the same time, I don't think any of us are expecting him to be Pat Surtain. It's just that I think these numbers are inflated when they're not really throwing towards PS2. It's when you become kind of the target in that sense for just the entire passing game. I think this is the result of that those numbers aren't indicative of Riley's talent and his ability. And I know I sound like an apologizer. I don't mean to sound that way, but at the same time, I think context matters. The story matters in this sense. So it's just one of those things. And then Travis Wakeman from Yahoo Sports continued to say, it's not as if he's just been outclassed on the field. He just has the spotlight on him while Surtain shuts down the other side of the field. The Broncos could elect to bench Moss and put Barron in, but he had better be ready for teams to test him. If he goes out there, that being Barron, and struggles in a similar fashion or does even worse job, it would be counterproductive and potentially shatter the confidence of the young rookie. It's a situation the coaching staff will closely need to monitor. And I completely agree. I think that it's a very precarious thing. I mean, we've seen Riley get burned in several situations, but they're by really good wide receivers. The Bengals game is one that a lot of Broncos fans bring up where it felt like he just couldn't stay up with T. Higgins while Pat Surtain was dealing with Jamar Chase. And it's going to be another one of those situations. We have the Bengals coming up on Monday Night Football this week, and it's just one of those things that we have to think, okay, do we think the rookie, Jahdae Barron, can match up against T. Higgins, arguably the best wide receiver 2 in the league, or one of them at the very least? And that's just a hard task. I don't believe this is the week to bench Riley Moss. I think Riley will be looking to maybe get some revenge a little bit, or just, make up for the performance that he had last time. Obviously, there's a good chance that it might happen again where he's getting burned, but at the same time, he does not have the same quarterback throwing to him. We will be dealing with Jake Browning instead of Joe Burrow, and that, I think, definitely leans in favor of Riley having a better game than last time. And I think Riley is very... He takes accountability for what's happened. He doesn't pretend that he didn't have a poor performance or hasn't been living up to his standards. He's very much aware of his shortcomings and just how he's being targeted a lot. He understands the situation. They're not throwing to PS2, but that's not an excuse for him to not do his job as well. Riley Moss himself had to say, we didn't get the job done last week, didn't get the job done this week, that being the Chargers game. At the end of the day, we got to win those, especially the close ones. We've got to be able to finish. We all take that personally. I take that personally. Giving up that late touchdown, but we're going to get better from it. We're going to keep rolling. There's no pity party in here. We're going to keep attacking each day, and it's tough, but we're built for it. This is good. I like that Riley is taking accountability for the loss and specifically giving up that late touchdown. And I want to really like talk about that. I have a video here of the specific play he's talking about. I think, listen, as I said before, Herbert is playing a sensational season so far through 3 weeks. Sweeping, or at least half sweeping the division so far, going 3-0. They are a 3-0 team. They're one of the best in the AFC for a reason. But this play, I think, is really remarkable stuff from both Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert. But Justin Herbert, this is the throw of the year in my opinion. He throws it around the arm and gets it right into only where Keenan Allen can catch it. But Benito, he did his best to block it. It's just as much on Benito as it is on Riley Moss, and I wouldn't even really criticize them as that much either. Riley was right there. That's as tight as coverage as you can ask for. It's just unfortunate that was a game-tying touchdown late in the game because the Broncos were leading for a good bit of the second half. But yeah, you watch this play. I dare you to tell me that listen, yeah, it might take a little bit more athleticism and a little bit more anticipation to maybe jump in front, try and get an interception, maybe just completely sell your body to dive in front. But at the same time, I'm not going to criticize him in the sense that this, like, it was bad coverage. But he's going to take accountability, and I respect that. I do think that it is a good learning lesson. Just like, unfortunately, he did, let go a late touchdown, the game-winning touchdown against the Bengals last time. So a lot of this is going to be ringing in his head, and he can either let it destroy him or he can let it motivate him. And I'm hoping Riley will use this as motivation to keep pushing forward because, again, they are not going to be targeting Pat Surtain that much. They might target him a bit because it's Jamar Chase, one of the best receivers in the league. So it'll be a little bit more spread out. We all know Jake Browning, gunslinger, kind of a Jameis Winston type, if you may, where he kind of throws it all over the field, whether it's going to be an interception or not. He's going to be throwing it, and I do believe that it should be an interesting matchup, and it's a good chance to get some redemption and a good chance to get the defense to make it feel like, okay, let's put them away early. Let's not make it a close game, and if it ends up being a close game for any reason, let's finish for once. I mean, we're 2-8 in close games going back and just during the Bo Nix era. And that's not good enough. That's frustrating. The schedule for the Broncos is relatively favorable. But in the end, Jahdae Barron is on he's on deck. He's ready to step in for his moment, and he's been playing some snaps. He's been getting in there, but at the same time, I don't want to rush things. I'm not on the boat yet of like, let's just throw him in, let's just bench Riley Moss. We're all sure Jahdae Barron will be better. I'm not sure of that, and it's not saying that I don't believe in Jahdae Barron, but it's just hard, especially when you're matching up against one of the best receivers. I'd rather wait another week and maybe a bit easier competition for the Broncos and their defense. So again, it's all about Sean Payton, where he feels comfortable, how he feels about the situation, and where he wants to rank everyone on the depth chart, all that good stuff. But I trust his judgment for now. Offensive play calling, that's another question. Typically, I usually trust that, but it's been a bit of a concern this season. But we'll talk about that in another video. Question is for you guys. What do you think about Riley Moss and his performance? Do you think that the numbers that are going against him are inflated because of the Pat Surtain situation where he's just not getting thrown to? And do you think it's fair to criticize him regardless? Do you think that this is a situation that warrants a benching and a Jahdae Barron being plugged in? This is a big decision, but in the end, there's a lot riding on this. There's a lot of season left, but I just don't think it's good to jump to conclusions just yet. But yeah, let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will make sure that we keep updating you on all things Broncos. We'll see you in the next one.